You've got cardboard stacking up behind the shed, a compost pile that smells like wet leaves instead of rich earth, and a spring forecast that keeps threatening heavy downpours right when you're supposed to be getting seed in the ground. You're not missing a secret. You're just running 5 separate soil tasks that don't talk to each other. The moment you align them to the same calendar, the same biology, and the same labor budget, the whole operation starts compounding instead of fighting itself. 5 protocols, 30 to 40% less prep time.
Nutrients locked where roots actually reach, burn pile materials turned into measurable yield.
Not isolated tricks, a linked sequence, suppression, fixation, pH stabilization, and row protection. Each step feeds the next one. Before we get into it, one thing. Soil behavior depends entirely on your local conditions. What holds moisture in a Zone 5 loam will drown roots in Zone 7 heavy clay. Always start with a real soil test: pH, organic matter percentage, available phosphorus and potassium. Use your local extension service or a certified lab, not the drop kits from the hardware store. The rates and timing windows in this breakdown are the agronomic framework. You dial them to your zone, your soil type, and your labor capacity. The math holds. Now let's build the system. You're about to see a number that changes how you think about spring prep. That first tillage pass you do every year, it's waking up sands of dormant weed seeds per square foot. Here's the fix. Lay down plain brown cardboard right over whatever's growing, overlap every seam by at least 3 inches. Any gap smaller than that is a light leak. Light is the trigger. Perennial roots like quackgrass and thistle will find it. Wet the cardboard down until it clings to the soil, then cover it with 3 to 4 inches of finished compost. The weight holds it. The moisture starts the breakdown. In 2 weeks, the weeds underneath are gone. No chemicals, no root disruption, no hard pan from a tiller. As that cellulose breaks down, it feeds soil fungi. Earthworms pull it down. They create vertical channels, better infiltration, better oxygen exchange. You're trading 8 to 12 hours of mechanical labor per quarter acre for free material. A standard shipping box covers about 13 square feet. For a heavy weed bank, you need 20 to 30 sheets per 100 square feet. Here's where it gets interesting. By week 3, your irrigation demand drops 30 to 40%. That cardboard compost cap slows evaporation dramatically. Your planting window opens without a single pass through wet soil, and this sets up the next piece of the system perfectly. You laid down that cardboard sheet mulch, you bought yourself time. But a quiet weed zone is wasted space. If you're not actively feeding the crop row it protects. The standard move is to broadcast clover everywhere, mow it in spring, and hope it breaks down in time. It's a shotgun approach. You're feeding the whole field when your crop only needs a narrow band. The sharper move is alley cropping. You plant your nitrogen fixers in 12 to 18 inch strips directly between your main crop rows: crimson clover, hairy vetch, a winter rye, and legume blend. Sow at 15 to 20 pounds per acre for solid coverage. Keep it shallow, a 1/4 inch deep, lightly roll or tamp it so the seed catches the first rain. Beneath the surface, the real work starts. These plants form root noodles. Rhizobia bacteria move in. That partnership pulls nitrogen straight from the air and converts it into plant-available ammonium right in the top 6 inches of your soil. You don't get a sudden spike. You get a steady, slow-release drip. As roots exude and microbes cycle, your cash crops tap that nitrogen bank through natural soil exchange. Field trials show a 15 to 25% yield increase on the adjacent rows when this is managed, right? That's not a guess. That's a measured result. The trap is termination timing. Do not wait for them to flower and set seed. You cut or mow when they hit early bloom at about 20 to 22 inches tall. That's when nitrogen in the tissue is highest and the carbon to nitrogen ratio is lowest. The residue breaks down fast. It feeds your crop. It doesn't tie up soil nitrogen competing with it. On a half acre, a walk-behind mower or a string trimmer with a metal blade handles the alley termination in under 40 minutes. It's a clean, fast job. You've now got a suppressed weed zone and a targeted nitrogen source working in the same space. But all that biology needs the right pH to function, which is where your next move comes in. Wood ash is not a fertilizer. It is a slow-release potassium and calcium source with a pH between 10 and 12. When you scatter it in March, two things happen immediately. Early spring rain flushes out the soluble potassium salts before your crop roots can even reach them. And the sudden alkaline spike locks up critical micronutrients like iron and manganese. That shows up later as yellowing between leaf veins and weak fruit set. The fix is simple. Change the calendar, apply your ash in late fall. After your final harvest, before the ground locks up, spread it at 5 to 10 pounds per 100 square feet, but only if your soil test shows a pH below 6.5 or a potassium deficit. Let it sit on the surface or lightly rake it into the top 2 inches. Over winter, freeze-thaw cycles fracture the ash particles. Gradual moisture pulls that potassium and calcium into your soil's cation exchange capacity. You're not chasing a quick green up, you're preloading the profile. By early April, your pH has shifted upward by half a point to a full point without shocking young roots. And your potassium is already in the root zone where it supports cell wall strength, fruit firmness, and drought tolerance. If you heat with wood, this turns a waste stream into a zero-cost amendment. You eliminate a spring application during your Busiest planting window, and you prevent nutrient washout that routinely costs $200 to $400 per acre in lost fertility. One caveat: never apply ash near acid-loving crops like blueberries or potatoes. Keep it separated by at least 4 feet. Use it on brassicas, tomatoes, and legumes that thrive in neutral to slightly alkaline conditions. That preloaded potassium now feeds directly into the next step in your linked workflow. The standard advice says turn your compost pile every 7 to 10 days. In practice, that constant turning resets the thermophilic phase that actually kills weed seeds and pathogens. To meet USDA organic standards, your pile needs to stay between 130 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 15 consecutive days. Every time you flip the pile, you vent that heat, drop the temperature by 20 to 30 degrees, and extend the maturation window by weeks. The alternative is thermal stabilization without mechanical labor. Cover your near-finished or actively heating pile with heavy-duty black plastic, at least 4 to 6 mil thick. Secure the edges with soil sandbags or landscape staples, then leave it untouched for 60 to 90 days. The dark cover trap solar radiation reduces moisture evaporation by up to 60% and creates a thermally insulated environment. Thermophilic microbes continue breaking down lignin and cellulose without interruption. You're not creating an anaerobic rot, you're removing the oxygen spikes that cool the pile and invite opportunistic fungi. When you pull the plastic, you'll find a uniform humus-rich seed-free amendment that crumbles easily. It holds moisture without turning sore and integrates into beds without teeing up nitrogen. From a labor standpoint, this saves you 20 to 30 hars of physical turning per season. From a yield standpoint, it guarantees you're not broadcasting new weed pressure or half-decomposed carbon that starves young roots. The only adjustment required is moisture management. If your pile dries out before covering, add water until it feels like a wrung-out sponge. If it's too wet, mix in dry leaves or straw before sealing it. Once that stable amendment is ready, you're still facing one of the most common stand loss scenarios on a working homestead. Carrots, parsley, and celery can take 3 full weeks to show their heads. That is a long time to be farming blind. You cannot find your rows for the first weed pass, you risk plowing right through your own stand, and you're guessing while the soil crusts over and moisture vanishes. The fix is a living marker that pays you twice at planting time. Sow fast-germinating radish seeds directly over your slow crop rows. Cherry bell or French breakfast will pop in 3 to 4 days when soil sits between 50 and 85 degrees. You get a bright, clear line that survives your first shallow cultivation and your irrigation schedule. In about a month, you pull those radishes. They clear out before your main crops even push true leaves. You just ran a double crop on the exact same dirt. Every radish is early cash kitchen stock or market filler. And you eliminate the accidental cultivation damage that routinely wipes out 10 to 20% of a slow germinating stand. Plant them ½ inch deep, about an inch apart. Keep the surface moist for the first 10 days. On heavy clay, add a ¼ inch of sifted compost over the row before seeding to stop surface crusting. Here is the math that matters. You spend the same seed cost and planting time, but you gain an early harvest, preserve your stand, and kill the guesswork in your most time-sensitive spring window. This is a zero-cost insurance policy. It pays for itself in preserved weight and saved labor. Now, stack this with your cardboard-suppressed beds, your alley-fixed nitrogen, your fall-stabilized pH, and your thermally matured compost. You're no longer reacting to the calendar. You're running it. So here is your real-world payoff. Fewer spring hours spent guessing where you planted what? Fewer dollars washing nutrients into drainage ditches? More marketable weight from every square foot you own? If you're treating your homestead like a working farm, hit subscribe. I release weekly breakdowns on soil efficiency, rotation math, and low input yield scaling. Drop a comment below with your USDA zone and which of these 5 you're implementing first. I read every single one. I will reply with zone-specific timing, application rates, or seed blend recommendations.